Welcome to the presentation on air pollution in Donora, Pennsylvania. My name is Christina Cherny, and this is a presentation for the Global Environmental Health Class at NYU, Summer 2022. The following is a table of contents that outlines the components of this presentation. This includes purpose and objectives, background, environmental and health impact, future implications, summary, and references. The goal of this presentation aims to describe the problem, demonstrate the impact from the problem, and discuss future implications which occur from the problem. Pennsylvania is one of the 50 states in the United States of America. It is located on the northeastern coast of USA and borders part of the Great Lakes. Donora is a borough in the Washington County, Pennsylvania. Marked by a red dot on this image, it is roughly 20 miles south of the Monongahela River. It is estimated that currently Donora has a population census of 4,580. So what happened in this town? Well, in October 1948, Donora suffered from a major air pollution known as the Donora smog of 1948. This current picture that you see on the slide highlights the various air pollutants getting trapped in a major temperature inversion, which caused numerous casualties. It was the worst air pollution disaster in the U.S. history. It jump-started the fields of environmental and public health, drew attention to the need for industrial regulation, and launched a national conversation about the effects of pollution. Donora originally was a small farming community, but over time it also evolved to be home for coal mining, steel making, wire making, and other industries. By 1908, the Carnegie Steel had installed the first facility in Donora known as the Union Steel Company. By 1908, the Donora had the largest volume of railroad freight traffic in the region. In 1915, the Union Steel Company became the American Steel and Wire Company due to the addition of the zinc works production. However, by 1918, the company was paying off its first fine for air pollution. In the neighboring city, Webster, in the 1920s, several people were suing the company for their loss of crops, fruit orchard, livestock, topsoil, and the destruction of fences and houses, which they attributed to the smelter effluent. The Steels Company rejected this notion and instead promised to upgrade the furnaces in the future in order to produce less smoke. It is important to note that the majority of the people living in Donora have become mill workers at this time, and due to the Great Depression, they couldn't afford to put much effort into this matter. Beginning October 26, 1948, the sparse air movement was contributing to a temperature inversion. The residents of the area were used to seeing smog, especially in the fall and spring. Smoke in the air was typically associated to be a sign of progress and prosperity. However, by October 27, 1948, the smog covered the Donora Valley region. On Saturday, October 30th, 1948, at 2 a.m., the first death occurred. Within the next 12 hours, 17 more residents died. The smog finally cleared with a heavy storm on October 31st, 1948, which was said to save the town because it broke the temperature inversion. In 1950, President Truman called for the first National Air Pollution Conference, and in 1955, the U.S. Congress passed the Air Pollution Control Act, which provided funds to the Public Health Service to conduct research in the causes and control of air pollution. In 1963, the Clean Air Act was created, which will be mentioned in later slides. One of the biggest problems to cause the smog in Donora was the temperature inversion, which the Public Health Service stated was the cause of the incident. A temperature inversion is a meteorological phenomenon which develops when cool air is trapped at the ground under a layer of warm air. This allows for the buildup of pollutants, and in this case, due to the Donora Zinc Works, the mills had emissions of hydrogen fluoride, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, multiple sulfur compounds, and heavy metals within the fine particulate matter. The USPHS also added that there were additional contributions to pollution by the voluminous river traffic and by the residential usage of coal-burning furnaces. This chart portrays the difference of the sulfur dioxide levels between Donora and the allowable sulfur dioxide levels in the Clean Air Act. As per the Act, the sulfur dioxide level is not to exceed 80 micrograms. However, in Donora, it was stated that the sulfur dioxide levels were anywhere between 1,500 to 5,000 micrograms. In 1948, Donora had approximately 14,000 residents. In the Donora smog of 1948, 43% of the population's health was immediately affected. This is roughly 6,000 people. 6,000 people were affected differently. 20 people were dead in the first 24 hours due to the asphyxiation. This graph depicts this number by 0.34%. 24.3 were found to be seriously ill. 400 of the seriously ill required immediate hospitalization. It was stated that the fluoride blood level of the dead and the hospitalized citizens were 12 to 25 times above normal. Due to this acute fluorine poisoning, primary symptoms that the resident experienced were dyspnea or difficulty breathing. This was common in hundreds of cases. The rest, 75.36%, were found to have minor to moderate illnesses. Overall, there is limited data found to highlight the full effect on health post the Donora smog of 1948. Thompson and Giorgio, two biostatisticians, conducted a survey of cancer death in Donora from 1948 to 1957 and in Arsenal, Pennsylvania, which is a district near Pittsburgh, from 1951 to 1956. This graph version shows that there is a statistically higher proportion of cancer death in Donora compared with Arsenal, confidence interval of 1.34. Therefore, years after the Donora smog, there were higher than expected cardiovascular and cancer mortality rates observed in Donora, which suggests that the long-term pollution overall has also long-term health effects. Typically, the most vulnerable population affected are the children, elderly, and immunocompromised. The immediate effect on health was death, but now people are suffering more from chronic problems. There had been an increase in asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, as well as increase in respiratory infections. From a cardiovascular standpoint, there had been an increase in cardiovascular diseases, including strokes. Finally, incidences of cancer have also been on the rise. The Clean Air Act was initially enacted in 1963 and has been amended several times since. It has become one of the United States' first and most influential environmental laws. It has substantially reduced air pollution and improved the U.S. air quality since the 1960s. Some positive outcomes have been lead decreased by 93% since the 1990s, sulfur dioxide decreased by 75%, and carbon monoxide decreased by 73%. In summary, the Donora smog of 1948 was the worst air pollution disaster in the United States of America. The temperature inversion made the situation worse because it trapped all of the air pollutants and created a huge smog around the valley. Despite the recorded casualties, the American Steel and Wire Company refused to shut down or even acknowledge fault. The toxic air pollution still affected people post the event and has since developed and exacerbated many respiratory and cardiovascular problems as well as cancers. Currently, there is very limited data available regarding the strategy because vital records are missing from the PHS archives, and U.S. Steel's records are closed to reporters, researchers, and investigators. Air quality must be monitored and maintained for the good of the people and society. There have been many advances made since the 1950s in the U.S. to promote cleaner air. However, air pollution is still a big issue worldwide, especially in the low-income countries. Here you will see listed references utilized for this presentation. Thank you for watching.